This is Visitor's Book, and I'm Maya, your host. In this program, we're going to be talking to diplomats and foreigners who live here in Pakistan, and we're going to find out what they really think about the country. So today, our guest is Romolu Neves, the Deputy Head of Mission of the Brazilian Embassy. So let's go meet with him. Hello, Romolu. How are you? So nice to see you today.
Hello, fine. And you?
I'm good, thank you. You have such a lovely rooftop terrace. You have the most amazing view of Islamabad here.
Yeah, it's true. I like it as well.
Yeah, very nice. So you've now been in Pakistan for about 3 years, right, as the Deputy Head of Mission of Brazil. Before we get to that, I want to talk about your journey and your quite unusual career path, right? You've done so many different things in your life, and that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. So how did it all get started? Where were you born? What did you study? How did you get into all of this?
I was born in a very small city close to our capital in Brazil. Mm-hmm. It's called Anápolis, but it's very close to the capital. But then, because family stories, we went first to Manaus, which is the capital of the Amazon region. Mm-hmm. And when I was 5, we went to São Paulo, which is the largest city in Brazil. So I grew up in São Paulo. I studied there. So when I was 5, I moved to São Paulo, which is the largest city in Brazil. Yeah. And then I studied in São Paulo and had my first professional experience in São Paulo. Mm-hmm. The beginning of my professional life was in São Paulo.
What did you study? What did you go for? What subject?
As in my professional career, I did a lot of different things in the academy as well. I started studying sports science.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was an athlete.
What were you like? What kind of sports did you do?
I used to practice triathlon almost professionally. I still practice it.
Yeah.
So I thought about getting professional on that, being a coach or something like that. So I started, but then I was frustrated with the course, and then I moved to law.
Mm-hmm. That's
and then
interesting.
I studied 1 year, and then I was also frustrated with that, and then I moved to social science. And then I found myself. I was very fond of the course. I finished it. But then I was already working in a justice hall as a clerk.
Right.
So it was not related. And then I tried to change a little bit, and then I started to study journalism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then because of that, I changed again my professional life and started working in the largest newspaper in Brazil.
Oh, wow. So what kind of stories were you reporting on in Brazil?
I was reporting about economics, mainly.
Oh, wow.
And then after some years working with economics, I just moved again back to sport and then became the editor of sport magazine.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. What do you think is behind all these different things that you've done? Have you had like a difficulty deciding what exactly you want to do, or you've just always been curious about exploring different paths?
I think it's a bit of the two things. One is that I like a lot of things. Yeah. So I'm very interested in a lot of different things. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to choose. Yeah. And to dedicate, your whole life for just one thing.
Of course.
And the second is, once you are doing your job or activity, sometimes you find out that it's not that interesting. So you want to change a little bit, and I'm not afraid of change. Maybe this is the point.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of change. So once I'm bored, once I'm tired, I just change.
That's very cool.
I did in the past.
Yeah. Excellent. And what was like going on in Brazil during that time you were working as a journalist there? What kind of things were happening? Was Brazil already this emerging large economy then, or was it just beginning?
Yeah, it was the beginning of a very interesting period in Brazil, because it was the shifting of, let's say, social democrat government to a working party government.
Right.
So it was it was the continuum of a period, but it was like the deepening of some experience, which brought Brazil to a very good place in the world.
Right.
I was journalist in 2001 to 2005.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting period, a lot of change in the path of the development of the country.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting to see two stories that I was covering at that time, very interesting stories. One was the bankruptcy of a very famous bank in Brazil,
Okay.
but it was not only the bankruptcy of that bank, but it was the changing of the market, let's say. It was not worldwide famous because it was very local, but it was very interesting to follow that change.
Sure.
And another one was the story or the many mergings occurring there. So breweries, banks, cement companies, very large companies were merging.
Okay.
And it was interesting to follow this.
Right.
When you take a distance and see as a structure, it was interesting.
Yeah.
But the daily life is hectic, right?
Of course.
Sometimes you don't see it. You need to get some distance and then you see the structure.
Absolutely. So then after a while of, again, covering sports, how did you ended up becoming a teacher at some point as well? Is that right?
Yes. When I finished the undergraduation, I was like, okay, what I'm going to do now?
Yeah.
Because I was a clerk, I was very young, I was 21. I had a job, I had time because I just finished my undergraduation. So I started to think about what to do. So I started a master in sociology.
Yeah.
And then I started the new undergraduation in journalism, and then I started to play theater, and then I started to search for other activities. And then because of the master, when I became diplomat in 2005, I moved to the capital. Because I had this master, I tried the PhD and I was approved. And because of the PhD, I was invited to give classes, and I like it very much. I really liked it.
How did you get into diplomacy then from there? What was that something you thought like, oh, this is what I want to do, or you sort of just drifted towards that?
São Paulo is, comparing to Pakistan, is like our Karachi.
Okay,
It's,
the commercial capital.
Exactly,
Yeah.
commercial and economic capital. So in São Paulo, you don't think about public servant career. It's more like commercial trade
Right.
and business. So I never thought before about diplomacy because it's not a common thing
Yeah.
in the region. But then I started a relationship with a lady who was very interested in the career. So she was talking about the career, and then I had finished my undergraduation, so I was in that period of searching for
Yeah.
new adventures. So she was talking about that, and then I started to think about it as an option.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit far because I was working in two jobs. I was working in the newspaper, and I was a ghostwriter for some other people. So I had a very busy schedule.
Yeah.
But then she was, listen, it's a good option, a very interesting career, etc. So I said, okay, so you study. When you are approved, then I can follow you, and then I studied, and then maybe. But then we participated in the same contest, and I was approved and she was not.
Oh.
So it was a little bit strange.
Yeah.
So it was not an accident, but it was kind of. It was not an old plan.
Right. Okay. So where was your first posting then?
My first posting, it was a very short posting. It was in Venezuela.
Okay.
I was very interested in understanding the Chavez period there. He was still alive, he was in power. And it was a very interesting story of the country, but if you're not there, it's hard to understand. A little bit like Pakistan, right? Because the information we get from the news, from the media, is not the total information.
It rarely is anywhere, right?
Exactly. But there are some countries that, let's say, the press is more present, you have more freedom, etc. So it's easy to get information from the US, for example.
Yeah, that's
from Brazil, not from here, but from Brazil. If you want information from the US or from France, it's easier. But from Venezuela, it was not that easy, especially because there was an ideology, perspective, etc. So I would like to see with my own eyes. So my first posting was there, Venezuela, a very hard time, very hard time. I used to say that it's much harder working in Venezuela than in any other country that I know.
Yeah.
And I've been working in Africa, in other poor countries, and Venezuela was really hard.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a very good training for the next postings.
Yeah.
But it was also
Where else have you been?
I have been to Suriname, which is a very small country in South America.
Yeah.
But very different in a way because it has a Dutch colonization. So they are the only country in South America which speaks Dutch.
Right. Wow.
And they have a very small population, like 500,000 only people. But then you have Chinese, then you have Indonesian people, then you have African people, then you have Dutch people, you have Brazilian people. So they speak like 5 or 6 languages in a so small country.
Wow.
So I would like to know that part of South America, which we don't have too much information as well.
Exactly.
Then I went to Ethiopia, which is also a part of the world that I would like to know a little bit more. And in Addis Ababa, they have the headquarters of the African Union. So I was very interested in knowing and understanding that organization and the history of Africa.
Of course.
So we went to Addis Ababa. It was really interesting, really nice. And then each time I went abroad, I choose to went back to Brazil.
Yeah.
Every time. But this is the first time I'm going from one country to another country, not Brazil. And then when I went back to Brazil, we asked ourselves, so now, what I don't know. So this was the region that I would like to have more information and to experience. So it's why I came to Pakistan.
So that was your choice.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what kind of an image did you have of Pakistan before you came here? What did you think your life would be like here?
I personally studied a lot before coming, so I didn't have too many surprises, let's say.
Okay.
But the whole image that Brazil has, Brazilian people have from Pakistan is totally different from the reality.
Right.
It's the distance is larger or bigger than other distances.
That's true. Yeah, it's very far.
I think one important thing is the image that is sold in the American cinema industry, movie industry.
Yeah.
You know, because Brazil is a jungle for the industry, and Pakistan is a bombing country.
Right.
So this is the image.
Yeah, this
right?
is how it's presented.
Exactly. So people in Brazil think here I have terrorists around, and people from Pakistan think Brazil is a jungle where you have tigers and monkeys on the street. So I came here not with this image, but I thought it was a little bit harder than it really is. The life especially in Islamabad is much easier than in 90% of the Brazilian cities.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Especially because of the traffic.
Yeah.
Right. And it's sad to say something like that, but the urban violence in Brazil is much higher than in Pakistan.
Probably. All right, we're going to take a short break now. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here in conversation with Romolu and Neves from the Brazilian Embassy. So let's talk a little bit about the work Brazil is doing here in Pakistan. Like you mentioned, Pakistan is not, it's probably not the most well-known country in Brazil. And you mentioned people don't really know that much about it. But what about the relations between the two countries? How are they?
It's a little bit close to this lack of knowledge, because Pakistan and Brazil have almost the same population.
Exactly.
210, 220 million people. So they are big countries considering their population. Fifth and sixth in the world.
Yeah.
So there is clearly a potential, an economic potential, especially in trade, but also in exchange, education, and so on. But then we have two distances. One is the geographical distance, which is a problem, but it's not really the question, because Pakistan is far from the US, it's far from the UK, and they have relationship. We are far from China. Brazil and China are very far, and there is a relationship. So the geographical distance is a problem, but it's not the problem.
Right.
But then you have cultural distance, because Pakistan has 96-97% of the population Muslim, and Brazil is Christian Catholic, but not that religious.
Yeah.
So when you ask me about the difference or the image that we have, I said that we didn't have too many surprises, but the life in Pakistan, because of the religion, is a little bit of a surprise. Okay. So when you go to the trade and economic relations, it seems that it shouldn't have any weight, but it has. Because for countries that don't have a very strong relationship, the first step to establish it, it's the personal connection. And you don't have this. You don't have too many Pakistani people in Brazil, and you don't have too many Brazilian people here. So this would be the first step to increase the trade relations, right? Probably. Yeah. It's not always like that, but in this case. So in Brazil we have maybe less than 5,000 Pakistani, which is not too much. Yeah. And in Pakistan we have less than 100 Brazilians.
Oh, wow. In all of Pakistan?
In all of Pakistan. Wow. So for the Brazilian entrepreneurs and for the Pakistani entrepreneurs, when they heard Brazil or Pakistan, they don't have any point of contact. They don't have anywhere where they can, when you hear about China, you probably know somebody here in Islamabad that went to China once at least. So how's China? You start to think about it. But when you talk about Pakistan and Brazil, hardly you meet one or two people that have been to Pakistan.
Exactly.
It's the same in Pakistan. When you talk about Brazil, you work with the international expats here. Probably you don't know too many Brazilians.
Exactly.
So
yeah. How do you think this could be changed? How long do you think it will take for people in Brazil to get to know more about Pakistan, or the other way around?
It's a very hard question because, in these 3 years, this was one of my main tasks, to increase this relationship.
Right.
And we tried very hard. For example, we prompted 2 missions from Pakistani entrepreneurs to Brazil. Twice, almost 20 people went there. 20 entrepreneurs went to Brazil. So maybe it would be a good start.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any contract, any real business as a result
Right.
from those 2 trips. So, but this would be a first step. Once they were there, they would have contact with Brazilian people and then try to have a deal or something like that.
Yeah.
The other example I would give you is that I personally organize contacts between Pakistani textile entrepreneurs with Brazilian importers. So it was almost a match.
Yeah.
But then you have the let's say lack of channels plus lack of it's hard to say that, but lack of professionalism from both parts.
Right.
So it was a match, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So you need a start
Of
to
course.
right. But there are some fields where they did it by themselves. So shoes, you have a good relationship on shoes.
Really?
But then in the other way around, I brought a Brazilian entrepreneur who was interested in establish a plant in Pakistan,
Okay.
pharmaceutical.
Right.
It was also a match. So the guy had really potential to invest in Pakistan. We brought him to some agencies, especially BOI, because it's and then I think 2 weeks later, the president or the director general of BOI just left.
Right.
So all the work was, and then the pandemic.
Of course. That
So-
has affected your work a lot, probably.
Yes, so we've tried very hard in these 3 years to boost these relations. But you have a lot of barriers,
Yeah.
natural barriers, natural in the meaning of you have cultural distance, and you have the different approaches.
Yeah.
Maybe Pakistani entrepreneurs think the Brazilians should come, and then the Brazilians think the Pakistanis should come because no one of them are the British or the Americans.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sure the image that Pakistan has also affects these things still in Brazil.
a little bit in the way that if a Brazilian entrepreneur wants to invest in Pakistan, he needs to bring people here,
Yeah.
right? At least not all the employees, but some. And then you have this barrier, this cultural barrier. But it's not important, I think. When you have a decision, you have people interested in it.
Okay.
Right? It's not that hard.
Yeah.
When you have the decision, I think things happen. But the problem is that you don't have a decision.
Right. So that's the main barrier
Exactly.
there. Yeah. And which areas, do you think this relationship could be boosted the most? Are there certain imports and exports? Do you think that could be increased, or where do you see most potential?
I think import-export for sure in some areas. Textile, machinery, this could be boosted for sure. Agriculture for sure. Cooperation, not trade itself, but cooperation.
Right.
We are trying to bring the Brazilian technology on ethanol production.
Oh, wow.
Brazilian production is the second largest in the world, and it's more productive than the US because we produce from sugar cane, and Pakistan has a lot of
Yes,
sugar cane.
Exactly.
So this I can't understand. This would be a match.
Yeah.
This would be a total meeting of interests.
Yes.
But it didn't. It didn't go. We brought 10 Brazilian scientists and heads of institutions. We made a huge conference here on that. Of course, just after that we had the pandemic again.
Yeah.
But it's a total match. I can't understand why they don't have. As a matter of fact, I can understand because people in Pakistan who deals with sugar cane, they earn money already. They got profit.
Yeah.
With ethanol, they would fold this profit by 3 or 4. But when you have already a good situation,
Yeah.
it's very hard to change it.
Yeah, the incentive isn't there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because one entrepreneur, let's say, got a profit of $1 million. Let's just say. If you say, listen, you can have a profit of $3 million, but then you need to study, you need to invest, you need to put effort.
Yeah.
The guy's already making $1 million.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's easier to make a leapfrog when you have nothing than when you have a good situation, a comfortable situation.
Yeah.
Get out of the zone, the comfortable
Yeah.
zone is very hard. So I think this is why.
This could be why, yeah. And I mean, now you've been kind of stuck here in Pakistan. Normally you would probably travel back and forth between Brazil a bit more. How have you had to change the way you work during this pandemic? And how hard has it been to not be able to travel so much?
Well, our life in Islamabad is very nice.
Yeah.
We have been very happy here. I cannot complain. And the pandemic in Pakistan was not that serious as it was in other countries.
Yeah.
We are lucky in this
Very
sense.
lucky, yes.
So being stuck in Islamabad in this situation was not that hard.
Yeah.
And considering that Brazil is one of the worst countries dealing with this, not going to Brazil was a relief in this sense. So, of course, it's not good or comfortable not being allowed to travel.
Yeah.
You can choose not travel. This is one thing, but when you cannot choose, it's a little bit strange.
Yeah, it is.
But then we did, let's say, quick trip to Egypt. It was the lowest point of the pandemic in Pakistan, the lowest point in Egypt. And then we thought, okay, we need to make a quick travel, and then we spent 1 week in Egypt.
Oh, very
and then
nice.
that was okay.
That's amazing.
And you know, Islamabad is a very green city.
Absolutely.
I'm an athlete. I run outside. In a very hard point in the pandemic, I used this terrace to run.
Yeah?
I was running like 1 hour here. It was
No way.
it was boring, but
But at least you had a good view.
exactly. Yeah. So it was not that hard.
Yeah.
I can tell you.
And you've done, I've seen on social media, you've done a lot of online talks as well. Yeah?
Yes, I have a course in the internet. I have a international politics course for the candidates to the diplomacy.
Oh, okay, wow.
So-
you're still teaching, kind of.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it took me a lot of time preparing the classes and then recording the classes. So
wow.
it also helped me to, let's say, to overcome the situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I spent a lot of time preparing the course because it's world politics. So a lot of research to do that.
And I mean, you have a huge following on social media as well. Do you often post things about Pakistan, and what kind of a response do you get from Brazilians?
Most of my followers are Brazilian, so I don't put too very complex things about Pakistan.
Yeah.
Mostly my daily life, because it's why it's what they are interested
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
How is your neighborhood? How is your how do you do with your dogs? How do you do with how is the traffic? You know,
Yeah.
very simple things, daily life things.
Sure.
So it's what I put from Pakistan. And sometimes, for example, 75 years of the United Nations. For example, this was a very nice thing. So I made a posting about that. We went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Though it was something different from daily life, but mostly daily life.
Yeah.
It's what they are interested in.
Yeah. Are they surprised to find that your life here is as easy as it is?
Yes, many of them
Yeah.
couldn't imagine that Islamabad is like this. It's
Yeah.
easier than most Brazilian cities. Living in Islamabad is really easy.
Yeah. How are the Brazilian cities in comparison? I mean, there's a lot of population and it's really congested, I would imagine.
Yeah, congestion and the traffic. I think the worst thing in Brazil, especially in the big cities, is the traffic. It's like Karachi, right? It seems like in Brazil you have a lot of Karachi traffic around. So this is the most different thing for them. And one thing is the urban violence. For them, Islamabad is very safe, so it's kind of surprise.
All right, we're going to take another short break. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here in conversation with Romolu Neves from the Brazilian Embassy. So, talking about this huge social media following that you have, you are quite a famous personality in Brazil because of, several different reasons, right? I wanted to talk about the TV program that you took part in Brazil. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was funny. It was a very famous program. Probably even people in Pakistan know it. It's Big Brother.
Yeah.
It has different editions in different countries. And in Brazil, it's called Big Brother Brazil. The audience is huge, like 40-50% of the population know it.
Everybody watches it.
Yeah. Even those who don't watch, they know about it because this is the main topic everywhere. Social media and portals, internet.
Yeah.
So I've been invited. I've never watched even my participation.
Oh yeah.
So when someone on the street just invited me, I'd like to invite you to participate in a program. It's Big Brother. I didn't believe. I thought it was a prank. I thought, listen, what are you doing? It's a prank, right? So, no, I work in the television. I would like to invite you. I know your social media. You have many followers. So listen, I don't believe you. So, no, it's true. Take my phone or give me your phone. We are going to call you. The direction we will call you to prove we are really inviting you. Said, oh, okay. I almost gave my wrong number because I was not believing it.
Yeah.
So I arrived at home and then I said to my wife, listen, something happened to me today. It's true that happened, but I don't know if it's true. So then she said, what's going on? So I've been invited to participate in Big Brother. She said, okay, what do you want? Do you want to travel without me? What do you want? Because she didn't believe as well.
Yeah.
But it was true. And then I thought it could be useful because I was organizing my candidature to the House of Representatives.
Right. That's also another thing you've done over the years.
I've participated in the past, and then I participated in many campaigns. So we won the local government once. So I was the chief of staff of the governor. So I'm involved in this as well.
Okay.
So I was organizing my own candidature in 2018. I would participate. So it was the end of 2016. So I went to the internet and saw that 60 million Brazilian people used to watch this. So we discussed a little bit and I said, listen, for my candidate, this is useful.
Yeah.
Because I've been nationally known, right? I know it's a very popular program. I know it's dangerous. I know they love polemics. But I'm not a polemic person, so I'm a very normal person.
And you're a diplomat.
Yes, exactly. So I accepted. I stayed there for 2 months. It was
2 months you were inside the house. Wow, that is
it was
insane.
so strange because after 1 month you think this is strange.
Yeah.
This is not useful. This is awful because it's a poor experience. As a matter of fact, inside the program, it's a poor experience.
Yeah.
I was there for 2 months.
Oh, wow. That's
And-
such a long time
Yeah.
inside that house.
But it's a poor experience. After 1 month, you are just tired of that because inside the house nothing happens.
It's very boring,
It's
right?
boring. It's boring. It's like you are in a
In a zoo.
in a zoo. In a zoo.
People are watching you and you're like,
But you don't
okay.
know they're watching you. It's
Yeah, you forget about that a
you
little
forget
bit.
about it. It's like a country house. You know, you go with 8 or 10 people that you don't know.
Yeah,
But the problem is that everyone wants to eliminate you.
exactly.
Because it's a
Like they're
competition.
like voting, yeah.
But I was not on the competition because my thought was not about the program itself. It was about being on the television
Yeah.
to boost my candidature 2 years
Exactly.
later. So I was not interested in the
And winning the
in
competition.
the competition, in the problems they were facing there.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit a part of that. And when you are a part, those things don't matter to you.
Yeah.
So it's even more boring because they were worried about who is going to win, who is going to be
Yeah.
dismissed or eliminated or whatever. I was just there to talk to people at home.
Yeah.
So after 1 month, I thought to myself that it was enough. But then it took 1 month more
Oh, wow.
to go out.
Were you like actually trying to get eliminated at
No,
that
no,
point?
no. I was, yeah, I was normal. I was
Yeah.
bored, but I was not trying to
Okay.
make it.
But like one of the interesting things is also that you're not allowed to stay in touch with the outside world while you're there,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And you have no idea what's going
No
on in
idea.
terms of news. How is that?
It was strange because when I left, at least 2 or 3 news impacted me. One was the death of a judge who was dealing with a very serious case in Brazil. He was the head of the process, and he died in an airplane accident. So it was strange for me. And then a friend of mine in the ministry also died. Those things was a little bit strange.
Yeah. But still, I guess the experience helped you in your career in some ways, in the end.
Well, in the end, I gave up to participate in the elections.
Yeah, you did.
So, 2018, I didn't present my candidature. I decided to come to Pakistan
Okay.
because
Straight from the Big Brother house to
no,
Pakistan.
not straight. I came back to normal life,
Okay.
and then I started my pre-campaign.
Okay, I see.
During the pre-campaign, I was so frustrated with the level of the debate and the discussion that I said, listen, I did it, okay, I would participate. I can't participate in the future. Maybe in the future I'll be back to this dispute. But exactly now, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want to reconnect to my family,
Yeah.
forget about it. But it was useful. If I come back to the dispute, I have people know me in
Yeah,
Brazil. So
exactly.
it's going to be easier to recall this memory.
Yeah.
So it was useful.
Okay. And I mean, now you have only a little bit of time left here in Pakistan after 3 years. I mean, have you managed to see a lot of the country, or has the pandemic kind of put an end to all your travel plans here?
Unfortunately, we planned to travel around in the last year, but the last year was the pandemic year.
Yeah.
So we planned to go to Humza, to go to Karimabad. Karimabad.
Yes.
Yeah. But then the pandemic came, we couldn't do it. It was a shame. We only know Lahore, Peshawar, Gujranwala, Taxila, only very close cities.
Yeah.
We didn't even had the opportunity to go to Karachi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But life is like that. I'm not the only one in this.
Yeah. who's been
Probably
affected.
this 2012 was a very hard year to
Yeah.
80% of the
For
population
everybody.
of the world. So.
Yeah, of course.
unfortunately.
And your wife has been here with
Yes,
you.
yes.
How has she liked the experience of living in Pakistan?
She's also part of the foreign service.
Okay.
She also works at the embassy.
All right.
And we do almost everything together.
Okay.
So we laugh together, we cry together. So
Yeah.
it was a partnership. Good times and bad times, we share it in a very good way, I think.
Okay.
And we have 2 dogs.
Yeah?
So they help us a lot.
Brazilian dogs?
One is Ethiopian
Oh,
and one is
okay.
Brazilian.
Okay, and you brought them here with you?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow. That's so you're also one of these expats who pick up pets along their missions and
yes,
travel the
exactly.
world with
Yeah.
them.
We love,
That's
but
wonderful.
you know, I think they picked us up because they are angels.
Yeah.
They are really angels.
So are you still planning on visiting some cities or places before you leave, or you're just here in Islamabad for the last?
No, I'm going to
few days?
Lahore exactly today, but for a competition. We're going to have a competition there, a duathlon competition.
Oh, wow. So you're
Probably one of my last competitions here.
Okay, excellent.
But just for that, and then come back to Islamabad, finishing packing up belongings, and then
Then where are you off to next?
Berlin.
Oh, okay.
We're
So
going to
very different posting then.
Very different posting. My wife was living in Berlin when she was a child, so she learned how to write first in German, then in Portuguese, because his father was also from the foreign service.
Yeah.
So she's very happy, but I'm very afraid of cold weather. So
Yeah, you haven't had to deal with much of that here in Pakistan, I suppose.
even Islamabad for me is too cold. For a Brazilian, it's too
Yeah.
cold.
Oh, it never gets this cold in Brazil.
Some cities, yeah,
Okay.
but my hometown and the capital. The capital, the temperatures in the capital is between 17 and 33
Okay.
the whole year.
Wow.
So can you imagine when I face 4, it's nightmare for me.
Yeah, and especially indoors, it gets quite cold because the heating is not really
And because the houses here are prepared for the summer.
summer. Yeah.
So
then it
sometimes
gets
it's
cold
colder
inside.
inside than outside. Oh my God.
But at least in Berlin, you'll have central heating.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, then it's time for our rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Yes,
Okay. Shalwar kameez or suit?
suit.
Lahore or Karachi?
Lahore because I don't know Karachi yet.
Fair enough. Your favorite Pakistani dish?
Biryani.
Ah, very good. Biryani or feijoada?
Feijoada.
Your favorite singer?
Favorite singer is a Brazilian singer. It's Gonzaguinha. It's not known in Pakistan.
I'll look it up. Your favorite country?
Of course, Brazil, but besides Brazil, I would say Turkey.
Ah,
I love Turkey.
nice one. Your favorite word in Urdu?
It's tikal, tikal.
TK, yeah? That's a very common answer. Your favorite football player?
Football player. It's Pelé, of course, but we have other not so old, but
All
Pelé.
right. Cool. The best thing about Pakistan?
I think the heart of the people.
Very nice. All right, then it's time for you to sign our visitor's book.
Okay.
There you go. All right, let's see what you wrote. Well, after 3 happy years in Pakistan, it is time to fly. I will carry with me the kindness and calmness of Islamabad and the Pakistani people. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope you have a good time in Lahore.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's it for today. Please join me again next week, and don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts at indus.news. Stay home, stay safe, goodbye.